a radio installed into a Kenworth. It's a 2019, I would say, new truck, or maybe 2018 model. And what I did here, I installed an Icom radio, an antenna, and I'll go one step at a time. I'll show you each item, how I did it. Besides, it's another one I've done yesterday. These are lease trucks, so in about a year I'm going to remove the antennas and stuff, and maybe seal the holes and stuff like that. So I don't want to do it too permanently, but still it looks nice, works well. And the customer wanted the antenna that way, and I didn't like the way they wanted, but customer is always right and they pay me for that. The antenna, it's no ground plane halfway VHF antenna. It's not an expensive one, and I've used an L bracket, installed, drilled 3 screws into the fiberglass, so this whole area is made out of fiberglass. And I've used a 3M marine silicone. It's a specialty silicone I use in my boat, and for the last 10 years or maybe 8 years or something, I don't see it peel it off the hull, the fiberglass paint. And right here I installed a black rubber grommet, and then I use some of that marine silicone. I put silicone into the holes, the screw holes, so I drill the screws in, took the screws out, put silicone, the white stuff, into the screw holes, into the fiberglass. Then I apply some of this material behind, or on the back of the L bracket, so for better adhesion. And once it dries in about a day, this will not move at all. Will be here for at least a year. So if I don't have to remove it, it will last for many years. I've done that type of installation, but not on this side of the truck. I don't like it. Again, it's the way they want it, and I'm going to show how I did it inside. So by the way, this is the type of grommet I'm using. It's a rubber, kind of a plastic, but it's soft plastic. I would say it's a rubber compound, plastic rubber compound, and you have to drill a hole into that fiberglass and squeeze this one. So you have to kind of carefully choose the drill bit diameter, then squeeze this one inside. You may have to use some sort of a tool or a little bit of silicone as a lubricant. Then once the silicone dries, this one will not come out. Then you squeeze the cable, shove the cable through this one inside that wall, and you may have to use a bit of a soap or something like that to fish it in. Then these are the fuses adapters we use, and some fuses, you know, I use for the radio, I use the red one, the 10 amp fuse, because this radio will take about maybe 8-9 amps. So I do work for a radio shop, a very reputable and very high quality radio shop, and these parts are not very expensive, but we do a pretty good job, I would say. And again, I'm not a radio installer. I'm a self-taught type of person. I do this stuff for many years, but don't listen to my advices. Don't take my advices as a valid one. So take this one as a tricks. So right here is the radio. It's not permanently mounted yet because I wanted to record how I did it. And you see, it has a sort of a radio system, radio faceplate for the CB radio or for future radio use. So I had to cut a rectangular hole. You don't have to, you may be able to just cut a slice from this plastic cover and insert your radio, but I cut a rectangular hole for my faceplate adapter, which we buy from Icom, and of course some side brackets that hold the radio in place. And I drill these side screws through the plastic, so it's very, very solid. It's not going to vibrate or move or anything like that. And the PL259 coaxial connector. Then I built a harness, power cable, and the coaxial cable, and it goes behind this compartment and it splits here. The antenna goes here, comes out to the antenna, and the power cable goes through a hole behind. So you will find a hole somewhere with a harness, the existing harness, and you run the cable with the existing harness. So just you have to remove some trim panels, and you go down, and you have to use some tie wraps. I haven't finished the job yet. Then down here you will find the cabin fuses. So you see you have to pull the fuse panel cover. So pull it out. Then is also another panel here that protects those hoses. So you have to pull this one out. It's not screwed in. It has some sort of a clips. So you just have to pull by hand. You don't have to use any tools. In my case, I was able to pull it by hand. And of course, the ground, I used one of the bolts at the bottom, and I used the lug on the negative, on the black cable, and nut and bolt, and a lock washer. Then also I crimped that fuse adapter that I showed you earlier. So the original fuse and the radio fuse, and you will find a spot into the fuse panel. I'm not going to tell you where. So in my case, I connected to the accessory circuit. So I'm not going to tell you where you connect the fuse. Talk to your customer, what type of connection they want, like if you want constant power to the radio, or they want it to be switched with a key, ignition key. So in my case, I usually install it with the ignition key switch. Then the radio, you just push it back into that compartment, making sure the coaxial cable is not getting pinched anywhere. And there is a horn system here, like a sort of a valve. So make sure when the driver is pulling, the horn is not going to pinch the power cable or anything like that. And you push this faceplate back in, and you see it's very solid and it looks good. I usually protect this connector from being pulled in and out by installing a sort of a clamp. So when the driver is pulling harder, it's not going to stress the connector here. So it's a trick. You don't have to use this thing. You can put a clamp different way, or leave the whole cable. And of course the microphone clip, one of the last items here. And do a SWR test, see how the radio perform, the antenna perform. Then you are good to go. So push panels back in, so it's not hard. It takes me like 3 hours almost. Okay, so again, I'm not a radio installer, accessory installers, and I do this thing from time to time, and I want to show you to help you to have your job easier. That's my whole plan. Talk to you later. Bye bye.